I'll record the session. Yeah. In case, like, if you have any doubts and, you wanted to interrupt or chime in, and please do raise your hand in case I'm keep talking in the sense, and please interrupt me then and there itself and clear your doubts, both of you. Okay. And so is my screen is visible?
Yes, it's visible.
So much. Okay, so let's start with the beginning. So since it's a very first class, okay, maybe if you have already joined, just take it as a brush up session. Okay. So basically, like, before we join, join the session or start about the topic. So if you just see in the internet era, or if you just Google it and what is cybersecurity and all, okay, so you can see n number of definitions available. For example, say cybersecurity is like, it's a protecting system, networks, and so also you will have a more number of contents available and what other things too. But as a layman, or as I'm joining as a beginner, in the sense, if I'm getting into this domain, in the sense, basically what you have to understand, this cybersecurity is, it's just a practice of protecting, as a layman, computers, as an organization, servers, networks, and applications, or the data centers, and so on. Which means whatever the electronic device handling, as a person or as an organization, those things I have to protect it. That is the main agenda of cybersecurity. This is what you have to understand. So there are n number of definitions available. So for example, when you're you're studying, or you're doing some certifications, or you're like an engineer graduate, and your cybersecurity is one of the what to say, it's a subject, I would say. So in that case, like, you can go ahead and learn these things and definitions and all. But as I wanted to get into this cybersecurity, just I wanted to protect the system, or the network, or the data centers, or the data in the digital world, or in the digital, from leaking the data, or penetrating the systems or servers. So that is the thing out of this, and we wanted to protecting all these things. That is the only reason we wanted to do that. So how we are protecting the these systems, or data center or servers, and very basic common things they will do. So they will do protect these cyber systems by using the confidentiality and the integrity and availability. I'll explain these things. What is confidentiality, integrity, and availability? Okay. So the main agenda is that whenever I'm keeping my laptop or desktop inside the home, or inside the organization, or inside the office networks, so I wanted to make sure unauthorized access to be protected, and also unauthorized, malicious, or even unauthorized application installation to be monitored and protected. Also, unnecessary data. Either it can be a personal data, or it can be a company data, or company confidential data, that shouldn't be leaked. And also, in case something goes wrong, for example, any malicious attack happen also, that shouldn't spread across the systems, which means the damage shouldn't happen. For example, let's say any one system, it's been malware has been infected. That shouldn't be. We have to keep the cybersecurity tools in such a way that the malware shouldn't be spread across other systems. So, what are the barriers we are going to keep it? That defines the cybersecurity based on the industry types. Let's say, for example, I have only one computer, or I have only two computers at my home. And both of my computers, let's say I have one personal laptop and mobiles and one smart TV connected with my router in my home device, and I used to access them via Wi-Fi. The device name is called router. And in that device, if I'm keeping this also, I want to make sure, though I have connected this computer also, whenever I'm seeing or watching the things in internet, or whenever I'm downloading the things in internet, whenever I'm copying the things via USB or to the hard drive or something else. So I should make sure that, as a basic cyber engineer or basic electronics engineer, whatever you name it, I want to make sure that before I copy the data, whether my system is protected. Before I download the things, my system is protected. Before I share the things via internet or via email, those informations are restricted and authorized only to the respective person, not anyone else. Those things I have to make sure that. If I have to make sure that there are two ways, either manually, I can make sure that, for example, let's say sender A and sender B. Sender A is sending the information to sender B via email channel in the sense, and sender A has to make sure, okay, I am typing the information like his email address properly, or is there any spelling mistake is there in the when I'm typing the email address. Those are things I have to make sure. But cannot be always that human as a human being. I can't always be attentive when I'm sharing the things. So that's when these things can be automated or can be monitored with an extra pair of eyes by using cybersecurity tools. So what are the channels I can keep it? That is more important. So that's when these three terms comes into the picture: confidentiality, integrity, availability. I'll explain about this. So basically, ultimately, what we can understand that as a cybersecurity, the cybersecurity is meaning it's to protect the digital systems or the information or data from malicious persons, or let's call it in easy term as hackers, or from cyber threats. So that is what you have to understand. Whenever you do the internet banking, or whenever you access the application via UPI, or whenever you accessing your Gmail or WhatsApp or whatever and so on. So whenever I'm handling the data, either it can be personal data or it can be company data, I have to make sure that my informations are protected and shared only to the authorized persons, or whatever the information or data or payload I'm downloading from the internet, that is being protected from the cyber threats. That is the thing I wanted to make sure. That is a simple term you have to understand cybersecurity. It's very basic thing: protection, the system and the networks and data center and so on from the cyber threats or hackers. This is what you have to understand. Okay, so clear on this? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Please, yeah, yeah. Please stop me in case, maybe, if you are just keeping mute, that's okay. But in case if you understand, if you doesn't understand anything, please stop me then and direct it. Okay. So next, what is that, basically that uh, before we start about this, some basics as a because consider me consider you as you're just starting as a cybersecurity engineer or as a cyber engineer from the today, in the sense, basically what are the things on regular basis you're going and serving as organization, serving to the organization as a cybersecurity engineer. That's a totally thing. But you have to start the basics from yourself, so then only you can implement the things to your organization. So as a beginner or as a the learner, so what are the things I have to do it in order to improvise the same practice to your company. So what you have to do basically, for example, let's say as a beginner, I'm using my mobile phones or I'm using my personal laptops, and I'm regularly using the internet bankings and stuff, and I'm accessing my Gmails or Yahoo mails and so on, and I'm interacting with my colleagues or friends through that social networkings like WhatsApp or Facebook and so on. And also sometimes I've been in a position to access some cloud applications. So in that case, whenever I am using the publicly available sites such as internet banking or social media, or sometimes you will be in the position to avail the online streaming websites and so on. So you have to make sure that whenever you're accessing, you are signing up or creating your account or you're managing your account, please make sure that always you are using strong password. That is a very basic things. And that password shouldn't be guessed by anyone else, even by your relatives or your close friends, or maybe if you're married, your kids. Okay. So the password is very important thing. because the why I'm explaining all these things, I'll come to you. Okay. Password is more important thing. And you have to keep the password which cannot be easily guessed by anyone else. That is main thing. Though I am accessing or availing these internet banking or any other online streaming sites or any other online related services, I am availing this service with the help of only my credentials, which is username, password. Is it sufficient? No. At the same time, I should be in the position to enable the second factor authentication or the multi-factor authentication. Let's say, for example, I'm accessing my Gmail account and I'm using my username and password to access my Gmail account. Is it sufficient? No. Sometimes, if you are keeping the strong password also, if it got leaked by sniffing the data, by tampering the cookie in your browser, and the password has been somewhat leaked in the sense, and the malicious person can access your Gmail from the remote location also, or they can use your online streaming sites, or they can access your Facebook account from the different part of India or the different part of world also, since your password has been compromised. So in that case, how I can keep the additional protection mechanism, which is the second factor authentication or multi-factor authentication. So there are many applications available in internet to enable the second factor authentication. Okay, for example, let's consider Gmail. In the Gmail itself, they are providing the Google Authenticator is application as a second factor authentication, which means whenever you are typing your username and password to access your email account, and in the same email account itself, under the settings, you'll be in the position to enable the multi-factor authentication. Either I can access the mail by receiving one-time password to your mobile number. That is another second factor authentication. Or I can feed the 6-digit random OTP which is being generated in my Google Authenticator. And these are the ways you can use it to protect, even though your password is being compromised. By using the second factor, even somebody is trying to access by stealing your password in the different part of India also. And when they are trying to access your email, if this is not been accessed from your device, in some other device they are accessing it in a sense, definitely the second factor authentication will be triggered. So by triggering this OTP or this thing, you will come to know that though my password is compromised, still they are unable to access it, because until unless I'm sharing my OTP or I'm sharing my 6-digit random code, then only they'll be able to access my Gmail. This is the very basic things. When you start to practice the cybersecurity thing, you have to make sure that it can be any kind of application. For example, internet banking. The Gmail is one of the example I explained it. But whenever you are using the internet banking, please make sure that you are accessing the internet banking or availing the internet banking via your laptop or your mobile banking. Always make sure that not only the pattern or password you're using, also the second factor authentication. So OTP should be triggered in order to, even though you're trying to initiate the transaction, and the OTP should be triggered to your mobile number, then only you'll be able to complete the transaction. So that is how you have to make sure that. Other than this, what are the other best practices I can follow as a beginner or as a layman? For example, I am a regular mobile user, or I'm keeping my laptop, or I'm regularly using my laptop for that some other purpose. Let's say it's for the for either working purpose, or I'm studying, or I'm learning new things, or I'm doing the blogging or contenting, whatever it is. So my very important devices are my laptop or mobile phones. So always I have to make sure whenever service provider, let's say I'm using Android phone, that Android service providers always release the definitions or always release the new versions of patches or always they release the new software updates. They will release the new software version and new patches or new hot fixes and so on. And they will notify you in the mobile phone stating that this is a very important software patches that you have to install it. And please always remember that you should not omit this and always update the latest patches or software update. Why I am telling you to do this? Because, for example, let's say I'm using the Android XYZ versions. Okay, so the XYZ version is available in internet and that can be customized by any other mobile service provider. Let's say the Samsung or Huawei and so on. Okay, so what the actually malicious person will do, and they will clone the actual Android version to their sandboxing devices, and they will try to find the vulnerability. Vulnerability is nothing but, okay, it's a loophole in the software, or it's a loophole in the operating system, or it's a loophole in the application. Okay, the loophole is nothing but they will use the particular loophole to penetrate your operating system to completely damage your either mobile or either laptop or any other electronic device. So this has been released in the sense that particular loophole has to be fixed, or in technical jargon that we can say that it's a vulnerability. That particular vulnerability has to be fixed. So only for that particular reason only, the OEM or the service provider or the mobile service providers, or if you're using operating system like Windows or Linux or Mac. So to patch or to close the vulnerability, team 1 minute, sorry, yeah. To close the vulnerability, and they will always release the upgrade or hot fixes or patches to close them. Never ever omit that, and please always update the patches. Okay. So you will always get notified, even if you're using Windows operating system also. And Microsoft always releasing the patches, not only for operating system, for their application also. For example, it's a Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Okay. Or if you're using Teams, or if you're using any their browser like Edge, or their internal application like calculator, or and so on. So for all the applications, they will regularly release the patches or the hot fixes or software updates twice in a week, or in a worst case 5 times in a month. They will always release the patches. That's when you will get notified, like you have some latest versions of updates available. Would you like to take it? Please always take it and update it as a personal user. But when it comes to corporates, this cycle is totally different. Okay, and I will explain this part in the later part of session. Okay, but when it comes to your personal devices, you should always practice to keep your devices or electronic devices up to date with the latest software updates or patches. Number one. Number two, though I'm using my personal devices also, if I'm able to spend some money, please try to use any one of the antivirus application. For example, let's say I do have a money or I don't have money. If I do have a money, I can go for some reputed antivirus application. I can purchase it and I can install it. For example, Symantec or McAfee or Carbon Black or Trend Micro and so on. But I don't want to invest on that. It's okay. Most of the operating system, like in industry wise, there are most of the operating system. Either it can be Microsoft, or it can be any flavors of Linux, or it's a Mac. They are providing inbuilt operating system security. Let's say in my operating system Windows, I have a Defender application available that is a free of cost, that is inbuilt with my operating system license. If you are unable to purchase any antivirus system, at least please make sure that you have enabled a Defender at least in your application and in your operating system, in order to protect from known vulnerabilities, known malicious softwares, or known viruses. More important, even when you're using the mobile application, most of the mobile applications or Android versions, they will always secure the operating system in such a way that they will always allow you to download and install the applications only from Google Play Store. But when it comes to iPhone, that's Apple Store. Okay. So please make sure that you are always downloading and installing the Android application only from Google Store. Why I'm saying this? Because in case if you are downloading and installing the application from untrusted sites or from untrusted person, whenever you are publishing the application in Apple Store or in Google Store, they will follow the list of security complaints. They will provide the checklist. Whenever you wanted to publish the application, let's say I'm from ABC company and I wanted to publish my application in Google Store, and I can't directly go ahead and publish it. So they will have a n number of checklists available. So I don't, because for example, let's say they will have one check stating that I don't have any hidden code behind my application, and I'm not doing any penetrating any customer information, or I'm not revealing any customer data, or I'm not injecting any malicious script on my mobile. So they will follow n number of checks. Once they comply with all the checks, then only they will publish it. Likewise, in your laptops, whenever you are installing any applications, so please always make sure that you are downloading the application only from the respective websites. For example, you wanted to install VLC Media Player also, and don't try to download and install the VLC Media Player from some random websites, for example, Softonics and so on. And please always download the applications from VLC. Why I'm telling this? Because whenever you are downloading the application for your laptop, so they will always provide the hash value of the application, stating that I didn't insert or inject any malicious script in it, and this particular application is sole purpose is to play only videos or stream your videos to the online, nothing else. And this is the main reason I have published this application, and this application hash value is so and so. So you can go ahead and directly download it. But if you download the same application from some other third-party sites, they may penetrate the application. They may inject some malicious script in such a way that whenever for VLC, actual functionality of the VLC Media Player is whenever you're playing the video or watching some movies, it shouldn't show any advertisement. Okay, when you're watching the movies on your personal laptop or your mobile phones. But if you try to download the same application from internet, they may insert some code in such a way that it will show the advertisement or it will pop up the advertisement. Okay, that is unnecessary things which you don't want to do that. So that is the main reason, like, we don't want that application to be downloaded from any third party. Number three, even if you are accessing the internet or you are availing the online services with the help of your home router also, always make sure that basic level of firewall things are enabled either within the operating system or in the router level. You can set some allow listing rules or block listing rules. How it can achieve it? For example, when it comes to the industry, okay, we do have a predominant tool or dedicated tool available to monitor the traffic and to block the things by using the dedicated firewall tool. But when it comes to as a normal user, I'll not be able to do that. But at the same time, most of the antivirus softwares, even if it's a bit Defender also, or it's a Defender, Microsoft Defender also, they have the predominant or the dedicated firewall rules are already enabled, but it would not be configured because the purpose may vary based on user by user. So in that case, at least if you are certain, and I used to watch, these are the online streaming website. I used to interact with my customers or my colleagues, only these are the sites. And I used to interact with my friends by using these are the social medias. If you know about this, you can list them down and you can define the firewall rule in such a way that Whenever I'm initiating the request from any of my mobile or any of my laptop, which is connected via browser, in the browser, you can allow list those websites only. If somebody is trying to connect your computer or your mobile via the router from the different third party sites, whatever the allow listed sites or allow listed IPs you have configured in your browser or your laptop firewall, only those transactions can have. Other transaction will be automatically blocked. So those things can be achieved. Okay. And also, as a common man, and I always try to avoid open internet or publicly available Wi-Fi. I am telling you, even if you go to the coffee shop or even if you go to the pizza shop or any other shopping malls, so they always provide the free Wi-Fi, and also they will comply that I'm not stealing any of the user information or user transaction. We are providing this as a free service only. So you can go ahead and avail the internet. Yes, you can go ahead and avail it. At the same time, whatever the transaction you are doing via public Wi-Fi or publicly available Wi-Fi, those traces will still be there in the router. Okay. So in case if you're watching some movies or YouTube videos or some online streaming sites and only you wanted to check your email, those things and all, that too in unavoidable situation, you can use it with the help of public Wi-Fi. But whenever you are doing financial related things, for example, you are making some UPI payments or you are doing the internet banking things, and please always avoid to use the public Wi-Fi. I'll tell you the reason why you wanted to avoid it in the upcoming session. And also, the final and very important thing, the data backup and recovery. Why this is more important as a layman? For example, I have only one laptop. I have only one mobile. In that particular mobile, and I have a lot of that learning materials or photos or some some videos learning videos are stored in my mobile phones, also in my laptops. Always I have many things like not only for these movies and stuff, and I do have some personal documents saved in my laptop. So in that case, if I don't have the secondary laptop available, or if I don't have any secondary mobile available, what if this particular mobile phone or laptop gone faulty? Because there are ways to recover the data. For example, even if the laptop gone faulty also, I'll be able to extract the hard disk. I can mount it in the different system and I can do it. But what if I don't have a different system? So in that case, always make sure that all your important data, let's say your hard drive size is 100 GB, in which I have a 10 GB of data, which is very important or which are very important. And I always has to access it, even if I don't have my mobile or even if I don't have my laptop in the sense, please prefer to use it any of the cloud solutions, either your Google Drive, because Google Drive, they're providing 15 GB of free space. Likewise for AWS or for Google, I'm sorry, for Oracle also they are providing, and many sites are available. Even Mega Drive also they are providing up to 1 GB space, I believe. So there are many, the storage service providers providing. You can avail up to some GBs of data and you can access it. So if you are considering these are the data are very important, because these cloud storage service providers always make sure that they will keep the customer data, even you're availing free services also, to keep the data secure, and always they will enforce you to enable the multi-factor authentication, and they will always make sure that whenever you are accessing uh, the particular data from the different part of country also, they will make sure that either this is you or not, and they will throw you some basic security questions in before you access the particular thing. So please always make sure that what are the important data which you are considering, always have a backup, at least either in the cloud, or if you don't have a cloud, at least have a separate USB drive. In that USB drive, copy it and move it. Okay. Even if you don't have a laptop or you don't have mobile phone, at least if the pen drive is in handy, at least you can access it somewhere else, or by using your friend's computer, or in the internet cafe also, at least you can use it and you can access them, which are the important data. And these data are very important, like you wanted to access it on either need to know basis, or maybe like your regular activities are depends on those data. So if you're considering those data, please make sure that you always have a secondary backup available. And whenever these single point of failure, which means either you have only one laptop or one mobile available and that too gone faulty, and you wanted to still access it and do the things, regular things in the sense, always make sure that you have a secondary backup available. These are the common practices always you have to follow whenever you are doing things. Why you have to follow in this common thing? Because whatever the list of basic security, cyber security, hygienic checks I have listed down, when it comes to corporate, they will use the predominant tools to enforce multi-factor authentication, to enforce you to use only the strong passwords. For example, in order to create the password or set the password, they will enforce you via Active Directory, or even if you enable this strong password also and the multi-factor authentication to be enabled, they will enforce you to enable the multi-factor authentication. They will enforce you to install the application either on your mobile phone or laptop. Also the backups also, and they will always tell you this downloads folder and your desktop folder, whatever the data you keep, and that will be always backed up to your OneDrive. Also, even if you are connecting from remote location, I mean your office laptop I'm talking about, and they will make sure that you are connecting via secure channel, which is VPN, but they will achieve it via firewall. And they will make sure that even you are connecting your laptop from the different location also. And when you are downloading the data or you are sharing the data, and they have the DLP tools or antivirus tools or EDR tools in place. And whenever you are accessing the laptop via public Wi-Fi in the sense, and they will stop you to, or they will not allow you to share the things via Wi-Fi, because they will show that okay, so this is some company confidential information you're trying to share via your Gmail account. So either the encryption mechanism, until unless the encryption mechanism is not enabled, and they'll that application will not allow you to share it. And the data backup also, they will do it with the help of OneDrive. Also they do have the recovery things, and they have a predominant tools available in order to follow these things when it comes to corporate or the large enterprises or medium enterprises. But as a common man, if you start to follow that, when you entering into the cyber security world, and it will be very easy to improvise, you know as a cyber security engineer. Okay. So, team, any questions on these two topics when it comes to cybersecurity definitions and basics?
I
Okay,
understood, sir. Thank you.
thank you.
No, 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 no. It's
Thank you. Okay, now we are going to talk about the CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, availability. But before we doing that, please make sure that now you have entered into the cybersecurity world. Okay, so please always remember, whenever or whatever the tools you are going to learn in cybersecurity. It can be either perimeter, or it can be endpoint, or it can be complaints, or it can be vulnerability management or pen testing, or it can be application security, and so on. They will always make sure that all of these tools, or any of these tools, they always follow this CIA triad. This CIA triad, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. First, what is confidentiality and integrity and availability? I will come to the confidentiality part. So the confidentiality part is, the main definition is that only authorized users can access the data. What is the only authorized users can access the data, or authorized people can access the data? For example, let's come into the normal scenario. Uh, let's say I'm from I'm availing one of the uh, library. I'm regularly using library or no library nowadays we are not using it. Banking system. Okay. Whenever I have opened the bank account and I visit the bank in order to check my balance, or I have a mobile application or net banking application in order to check my balance or do the transaction things, I have to make sure, or the bank has to make sure, the person who's trying to visit the bank or the person who's trying to access his account, whether he is a right person or not, whether he is an actual customer or not. How we can confirm that whether he is the right person or not? How he is the right? For example, if I'm visiting the bank and I'm say my name is so and so, and I wanted to check my balance, in the sense they won't easily give you. At least what they will ask, okay, show me your passbook. What is your bank account number? Or what's your account number? These are things they will ask. And even if you steal the information from someone else and giving the bank account number and your the bank passbook also, what they will ask, show me your ID card, whether you are the right person who can who can actually access your, or you are benefited to see your bank balance. They will too. But when it comes to online or net banking, how they will identify? They will be provided the bank transaction username and password. For example, the net banking user ID and password. So these net banking user ID should be authenticated, and not only authenticated, also, as I said, the multi-factor authentication enabled in order to feed the OTP to see the account balance or to do the online transaction. So not the random persons can access the bank account number or can visit the bank in order to see or do the banking things. We have to make sure the authenticity of the person. So in order to do the authenticity, to verify the authenticity, the confidentiality is coming into the picture. So confidentiality always make sure whether he is authorized person to check his bank or bank balance or online transaction. How we can achieve it, the confidentiality? Always we have to make sure he is the right user by using the username and password or show his identity. He is the authorized person to access the data. That one they have to verify. Let's say I have a different scenario. For example, if you are working in the company and regularly, like, on every month, they are crediting the salary in your bank account. But at the same time, how much money the salary got credited, that thing you have to verify. How you will verify it? With the help of payslip. Okay, so the payslip, they will either publish it in the internal application or they will share the payslip via email. But email can be accessed only by the user 90% of the time. But at the same time, this is the financial information because we are revealing the company confidential information that so and so amount has been credited in your bank account. This is the details. So to access this information, the random user cannot be checked, though it is being cascaded via the internal sites or via their personal email account, or it's a company email account also. In order to access payslip, you will share the separate password. Once you feed the password, though the payslip is being shared via the email, you have to, or the employee has to feed the password in order to access the payslip. This is one of the example for confidential. Okay. So as I said, the authorized user has to confirm their authenticity in order to access the data, not some random user. Though the data has been shared to someone else. For example, by mistakenly the payslip has been shared to person A, person B, person C by mistakenly, or by mistakenly that is been that particular payslip is available in the internet, or that it's available on some laptops or some SharePoint folders also. Only the person A should be able to access it. Even the person B, person C trying to access it also, they should not have the proper information in order to access the data. Only the authorized person should have a information or credentials in order to access the data. That part we have to make sure. That's when the confidentiality comes into the picture. This confidentiality can be achieved in the organization by using many other tools. Confidentiality is nothing but only authorized user should have access the data, not by any other users. So the next part, integrity. Integrity is nothing but data should not be altered improperly. What is the data should not be altered improperly? Let's say, for example, I have deposited 10,000 rupees in my bank account. Okay? And I know very well, only in my bank account, it should show my bank balance as 10,000 rupees. When I am seeing the things by visiting the bank or by using my mobile banking, when I'm just checking the bank balance, it should show only as a 10,000. What if that particular information has been manipulated using either application glitches or maybe due to the human mistakes or human errors or the application errors? So that is not the actual data what the user should. For example, if I have deposited 10,000, I should see only 10,000 as a bank balance. If I'm seeing something else, in the sense that particular actual data has been tampered. Let's say I'm a medical practitioner. Let's say I'm a doctor and I'm prescribing some medicines. Let's say so and so medicine, medicine A, medicine B, medicine C, and I'm sharing the medicine the patient via nurse or via some compounders or via some other channels. Let's say I'm directly sharing via email. I have to make sure whatever the medicines I have prescribed, medicine A, medicine B, medicine C, those three medicines should be reached, or those details should be reached without breaking the things or without tampering the things to the end user. If it is being tampered, for example, let's say someone else opened the prescription and they are adding some other malicious medicines. Let's say he's a sugar patient or heart patient. They are not allowed to consume some kind of drugs. And as an intruder, and I wanted to unnecessarily prescribe the things so that you know what to say. In case anything goes wrong, also only the doctor will get punished, not by some other intruder. I have to make sure whatever the business or the things I'm doing as a company or as an individual, I have to share the things to the targeted user or targeted individuals without tampering the things or without breaking the things. That's when integrity comes into the picture. It means it shouldn't be break or broke, or it should be tampered, or it shouldn't be altered between the users or between the organization or between the company to the customers. That part I have to make sure. How I can achieve it? There are many other technologies available to achieve. For example, they can use hashings, or they can use digital signatures, or they can use some file integrity things. So whenever I am uploading the things, for example, I'm uploading some 1 KB data, in the sense, whenever I'm sharing the 1 KB data to the customer, I can share the hash value of the file. Okay. So whenever you are receiving the file, you make sure that you have these digits. I'll explain the hash value in the later part of the slide. Okay. Cross verify it before open the file. If you see the values are changed, it means somebody tampered the data, somebody tampered the file, or somebody tampered the content. Don't use it. Just inform me so that I will check what thing went wrong. So integrity is nothing but when I am sharing the data to the targeted user, that shouldn't be altered. That's when the integrity comes into the picture. Okay. The next part is availability. Again, I'm coming back to the banking scenario. Okay. So before that, what we discussed, confidentiality and integrity. Confidentiality, what is? I have verified it. Only the authenticity user can do the things, or they can see the banking thing by achieving the confidentiality. And also the informations are not tampered when I'm sharing the information to the customer. When integrity comes into the picture. Now, other important pillar is availability. The availability is nothing but whatever the data or the system or the services I'm providing to my customer, that should be available always without interruption to the customer or targeted users or my the recipient. Let's say I have opened the bank and I have 500 customers or 100 customers already. They have opened the account and they are doing the regular banking things on regular basis in my bank account. In some scenario, let's say one fine day, when you going to the bank to withdraw some money, you can see that there are thousands of people waiting in front of you or before you in the bank avail the services. So you are waiting, for example, your line number is that 101 or 1001. Before you, there are thousands of people sitting, and that thousands of people waiting to avail the services. But once you cross all thousands people or all 100 people and finally entering into the queue, and you're asking, so why there are so much crowd or so much queue in the bank, and I was in the need of, or I'm in the need of withdraw some money, and I have to deposit it to my hospital or some pay some medical fees or education fees and so on, but I can see so much of crowd. But actually the banking person is saying that, see, they are not actually the customers. They are some random users. They wanted to do some unnecessary things by keeping the people wait behind them. For example, they are coming and they're asking what is the procedure to open the bank account, what are the benefits available. And let's say maybe this is not the right scenario, but still I'm taking it as an example. Let's say now it's a summer, but the complete banking is the centralized air conditioned the bank. So to avail or to reduce the body temperature, they are entering into the bank, then waiting, and they are simply just making the things like, they are pretending that they are also the customer. And finally, okay, they're saying, so this is my HDFC bank account and go and check my balance. Sir, actually you are sitting in ICC bank. So they are not the targeted customer, right? Behind them, they are actually the legit or valid customer. They are waiting to avail the banking service. So this is the physical scenario. What if in the net banking? So you are always doing the banking things by using the mobile banking or internet banking. But whenever you are using the application, always site seems to be busy or site seems to be available. So did you get a chance to book the Tatkal ticket in the IRCTC website? Between 10 to 12, whenever you are accessing the site will always busy or site still are busy, because actually those are legitimate users. But what if actually they can do the things whenever they need it, but they can't do it because there are a lot of barriers before them. For example, in the bank, there are a lot of unwanted visitors or the person who are not even related to the bank or not even the customers, but still they are delaying the things. And you are trying to access the application or trying to do the internet banking, and the site seems to be slow because before you there are a lot of botnet requests are there. But as a consumer or as a customer, what I will say, okay, the service is not seems to be good. So whenever I wanted to do the things or want to withdraw the money or wanted to transfer things, and the site seems to be always busy, so I'm closing the bank account and I'm going to shift my money or transfer the money to some other bank where they are providing the best service. So what the bank has to make sure, or what the online streaming site has to make sure, or what other online service provider has to make sure. So only the right customer or right targeted users or they has to avail the sites. If some random users are trying to access it, those requests should not be permitted or it should be denied when availability comes into the picture. So as I said, confidentiality, only the authorized user has to access it. Availability, whatever the authorized users are accessing the data, that shouldn't be tampered. Availability, though they have a proper, they have properly validated the credentials by achieving confidentiality, those informations are not tampered. Also, the data should be available whenever they need it. These three things should be made sure by the company in order to run the business seamlessly. So this is the thing. This is the three core principles or pillars for cybersecurity. Confidentiality, only authorized users can access it. Integrity, data shouldn't be tampered. Availability, whatever the data, the right users are authorized, that should be accessible whenever they need it. These things has to make sure. So to achieve these three pillars only, all the companies are working. The cyber security core principles are these. For example, confidentiality. How I can achieve it? By using firewall for Active Directory. Integrity, how I can achieve it? Again, by using firewall, or there are many tools are available. And how I can use it? Availability. For example, whenever some random requests are coming, and by using DDoS mitigation, by using firewall rules, I can achieve it. There are many tools are available to achieve these things, but always they will follow these three core principles when they are dealing the business. Even it can be a small business in India, they will always make sure they will achieve these three principles by using any of the cyber security frameworks. Okay, are we clear on this part, team? Bhavya and Rakesh.
Yes.
I'm sorry, maybe like just allow me some time. I'll try to recollect your name. When that days goes on. Okay, so we are clear on this part. Okay,
Yes, yes.
this confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, just 1 minute, team. I'll have a cup of water. And then just keep talking for past 1 hour. Just 1 minute. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. I'm back. Okay. So again, see, actually, see why we are doing this. Actually, I just gave some simple example. Whenever you are doing that, digital banking or e-commerce things or cloud computing things, or even if you are doing just remote works, or even if you are providing remote services or internet dependency, or always doing some financial related things or stuffs also. But we have to make sure we are achieving this. We are protecting confidential information by keeping these three triad available, or we make sure that they have followed the confidentiality, integrity, confidentiality to at least the data can be accessed and data can be tampered, and only the right users can achieve the data by using many set of cybersecurity tools. So, for example, when it say when you are accessing, these are the digital banking things and remote works, or any if you're using some small level of financial data. For example, when it comes to other countries like Western countries, let's say US and UK and the Middle East, and they strictly follow the cybersecurity laws. Even they are doing some small lending business also. They always make sure that they are keeping their customer data confidentially, and they want to make sure that those things are not easily available in darknet, so on. So that's when, like nowadays, like in past 5 years, I would say that India is strictly following the cyber laws, and even they're just starting the small scale industry, like even the small finance sector also, and they wanted to follow at least like few cybersecurity framework. So that's the main important. So to avoid that, so that thing I explained it. And when it comes to uh, you know uh, cybersecurity in India, or if you are going to provide a service in US or other Western countries also, when it comes to small or medium and large enterprises, like always they will make sure that in all layer of uh, you know uh, the data transfer things, like it can be either in perimeter or endpoint or email or file transfer or other channels. They'll always make sure that tools are already in place or tools are properly configured. But when it comes to you know a small business or medium business, you know the main focus area is that when you're doing the things and you wanted to get the customer confidence to run the business for a long time, there are certain things or certain protection mechanism to be enabled when you're dealing with a customer data. For example, in India, they are slightly following, but when it comes to Western countries or Middle East countries, you know, even they are doing the small business also. Their main focus area is that in most of the channels, let's say in at least in perimeter, they will keep firewall, and in endpoint, at least they will keep antivirus or EDR, and in email, they will have a email security tool. Also, since they are dealing with the customer data, always have the backup tool available. Even if something goes wrong, the customer data center also, they will avail or they will easily get the customer data from the backup channel. So those things has to be made sure. But nowadays, you know, the reason behind this backup is not only for when something goes wrong or the system gone faulty or data center gone faulty due to some natural calamities and so on, but sometimes that's kind of some like the ransomware attack can happen. Ransomware attack, I'll explain that. Ransomware is nothing but I'm completely encrypting the entire system or the server, so that that particular server or the system cannot be accessible until unless I completely decrypt or decode the things. I'll not be able to avail the service. So that is called ransomware. I'll explain that later part. Okay. So even if some kind of some major attacks happens also, we will be in the position to run the business without any interruption. So that's when the backup is comes into the picture. So we always make sure, even if you are running the small business also, let's have a two data center at least. At least one set of data should be safely stored in some remote location. That part we have to make sure, even if you're running a small business. For example, small medical shop billing also, like in the US, they what they will do, they will make sure in the medical shop they are running only two computers, and in the two computers they have a medical coding software installed in it. And before installing the things, they will make sure the software updates are patched and OS is up to date, and they are doing the updating things regularly, and they will install the antivirus. Even the antivirus definitions are updated. Even they run two computers also. For the cyber security things, they will outsource it to the local vendor. So please make sure, if something goes wrong, I will file a lawsuit against you. Even there are two computers also. I have to make sure my user informations are not shared to anyone else without my knowledge. That part in US they will make sure. But in India, you know, yeah, there are few companies strictly following. For example, let's say Apollo. Even Apollo, they do have a branches in everywhere in India. But whenever they are adding their computers to their internet or to the network, they make sure that they have a list of complaints check. Like uh, OS is up to date. It should be domain enabled machine, and it should be antivirus should be installed with the latest version, and only the authorized application or listed applications are installed. Other applications are not installed, and administrator access cannot be provided. They are following the things, but this is not strictly followed by everywhere in some growing countries. Okay, so this thing, like they have to make sure. But when you're giving business, they will make sure that in Western countries they'll do that. Also, like medium business. So main focus area, as I said, in small business, in worst case scenario, at least they should have antivirus or firewall or email security and backup. But when it comes to the medium business, like let's say they have around 5,000 or 10,000 plus customer numbers, and they wanted to keep the data safe, in the sense they have to make sure they have either antivirus and EDR, and they should have the vulnerability management in order to find the loopholes in the application or operating system and so on. And also they are running the small scale number of employees. Let's say they are all over the world. They have 100 plus employees are working under the company, in the sense, and they will provide the proper training to the employees. Like always they make sure that these this 1 minute. I'm getting call from office. Just 1 minute. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. Okay. So, they will provide the training, the basic cybersecurity awareness training, and also they will make the things know that even though we have been provided the awareness training also, and they always make sure that in all the layers of the data travels, and they will keep the tools available to protect the customer data or to protect from the malicious activities or malicious application. Okay. Comes to large enterprises, they have everything ready, or they have all the setup completely configured in all the layers. Okay, they will follow the threat intelligence and zero trust. I'll explain what is threat intelligence and zero trust. Let's say I'll open that one page. Okay. For example, this is one company perimeter. Okay. Also, there are three channels: data transfer happening via internet, via FTP, via email. Okay. They always make sure when the data comes from the internet, the entry point is only via firewall, not by any other channel. They will always make sure. Okay. Even data going out or coming in, they will always make sure everything happened via firewall. That part they will make sure. Again, even if there are some internal customers, let's say internal consumers, okay, who are doing the things, or interacting with their companies, okay, in that make sure they are sending a mail, or they are transferring the data through some other channel also. Let's say they do transfer by using some FTP sites. They do transfer the data by using email channels. See, there are many channels available. Since for the easily understandable term, I'm using only taking these two channels. So in that case, even if you are doing the things directly connecting to the internet to download and upload the data, or to transfer the file, or via either FTP channel or via email channel also, these channel will always make sure that the data will come via FTP, via firewall, then go to the user. Also, even if they are sending a mail, they always make sure that will come via email security tool from firewall. These things the companies will always make sure that. Likewise, I am using many security tools here. Let's say for transaction and all, I'm protecting it via firewall, and file transfer and all, I'm protecting it via FTP, and email transaction and all, I'm protecting it via email security tool. Likewise, inside my computer, I have a many security tools available. For example, let's say I have an antivirus. It will protect to install or it will protect from stealing the data or traverse the malicious file to the other computer. And also data loss prevention or data leakage prevention. It will protect to leak company confidential information to outside the company. And also I have application security. Application security is nothing but it will allow to install only authorized application, not all the application. So there are many things available. Okay. So see, I'm using many channels to protect the computer where what are the channels the data is being traversed. I have a firewall, I have a FTP security mechanism, I have email, and inside the computer also, I have AV, EDR, DLP, and other application tools or proxy tools and so on. There are many tools available. See, even if the data or the malicious packet is being bypassed via firewall, via FTP, or via email, I have other tools available inside my computer to protect my computer by installing unwanted or malicious application. I'm keeping multiple layer of security tools to keep the things protected. Even if one channel is compromised, other channel is there to secure my end system or server or database or workstation or data center and so on. This concept is called defense in depth. Once again, I'm repeating, defense in depth is nothing but I have a many layer of security tools available. If one security tool is being compromised, I have a other tool to protect my systems or servers. This system, this tech, the method is called defense in depth. So I have a perimeter, I have an email channel, I have a FTP, I have a other channels also. These channels are called attack vectors. So I will keep the things in defense in depth to protect from all other attack vectors. So this is the thing all the large enterprises will follow. How they will follow? By using some security compliance tools. This part I will take it in later part of India. Oh, sorry, later part of this slide. Okay, our session. Okay. Any questions on this thing? Any questions? How the things are focused in small business and medium business and large enterprises? Any questions?
No.
Okay. Okay. Now again, coming back to this other basic concept, which is called OSI model. Okay. Since both of you know or you know the basic idea about OSI, but still just take it this as a recap session. Okay. So OSI model is nothing but like it sets some framework or some standard to share the data between two different operating systems. For example, I have a Windows system and my friend have a Linux system or Mac operating system. I am trying to send some file via email or via file transfer or via pen drive, whatever it is. If I'm trying to send the data from one operating system to other operating system by using any electronic medium or either network channels, how the data should be transferred, that is a standard which is being defined by open system interconnections. Okay. They will explain how the data can travels from one computer to another computer via internet or one operating system to another operating system via internet or via either network. why we need to use this OSI model? That is more important. So because why I should learn the OSI model as a cybersecurity engineer. So the main thing is that whenever you are doing a team, my screen is still visible, right? You're seeing my screen, right? Hello.
Yes, 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 yes,
Yes,
Thanks.
yes,
yes.
yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So why you wanted to do this? The main thing is that whenever the data is being or the content is being transferred from one computer to another computer, there is a network comes into the picture. There is a data flow comes into the picture. So there is a packet comes into the picture. So I just wanted to know where actually, in case some data transfer not happen, where actually stop, in which portion or in position the data has been stopped, and where my communication got broken, in which packet it has been uh, bypassed or blocked or denied. I need to understand actually the data flow. Then only I'll be able to troubleshoot it by using the right security tool. That's when the OSI model comes into the picture. Because the main very important thing is that without knowing the data transfer logic between two computers, you'll not be able to do the troubleshooting when it comes to the network or connectivity troubleshooting part. Okay. There are 7 sets of OSI layer available. Okay. As you're aware, physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, application layer. Okay. These are the things available. You can either read it from top to bottom or bottom to top. Anywhere you can do that. But actually, I will try to explain these things from top to bottom. For example, let's say layer 7. Before I start to explain this OSI layer, I want just explain one quick scenario. For example, let's say I'm residing in Chennai. One of my friend residing in, let's say, Coimbatore. Okay. Let's say I wanted to send a few things. For let's say I would like to courier it, or I would like to send via post office one letter. In the sense how that the actually the letter or the courier is being traveled from Chennai to Mumbai. That same scenario applies here in OSA layer. Okay. In very simple thing, as you're aware, when I'm posting the letter, what I will do, I will write a letter, or I will actually, like, for example, I wanted to gift one wall clock to my company, to my companion. In the sense, what I will do, I will buy a wall clock, I will pack it, and I will properly seal it. I will write his address, and I will hand it over to post office, or I will hand it over to courier office, and the courier office will send this, this actually what is that gift to the hub. From the hub, it will travel to the Coimbatore post office hub or the courier office hub. Then it will travel again transfer to the local post office where my actual friend my friend is residing in that particular area or street. From there, it will be traveled handed over by the courier person or the postman to the friend. So in that case, the same here applies when I am transferring the logical or electronic data from my computer to his computer. Let's say, as I said, the data transfer will happen in each layer. The first layer, what it will happen, actually how the persons are seeing or the users are seeing the things visibly. For example, logging in into the internet banking or write a mail in the Gmail or Yahoo or Outlook and so on. So where the users are directly interacting the things, that's where the application layer comes into the picture. For example, I open the browser, or I open the email, or I open the WhatsApp, or whatever it's so. So I will write the things physically, or in the interface level, I will write the things. That's where the application layer comes into the picture, which means I buy a clock. That is a physical, that directly I'll be able to see that. So I'm writing a email. Where I'm writing the email? In the application layer only, I'm writing the email in the, I'm composing the email in the draft box. So once I compose the email, what I will do, I will mention the subject line also. I will send the recipient email address. Everything I written it over there, and I am hitting the send button. Once I hit the send button, what it will do, I have to make sure this particular mail has been properly sent to the recipient without tampering the things. Just you have to recollect it from the integrity part. So without tampering the things, how I can make sure that I have to encrypt the mail. Or if I'm logging into the mobile banking, I'm feeding the username and password, and my username and password should be masqueraded, or it should be properly formatted where other users are trying to see also. It can't be, or it can be in the unreadable format, or it can be in the gibberish format. That's when the presentation layer comes into the picture. In the presentation layer, the complete security mechanism of the transaction has to be in place. That's where the presentation layer will do. For example, I am wrapping the courier, or I'm wrapping the gift box, or I'm wrapping the letter. That's where the presentation layer comes into the picture. How I can achieve it? There are many ways. The SSL TLS encryption, I can use it public key, private key, or I can use it some, safe, encryption algorithms to do that. That's where how it is being defined in my operating system. The same way, the presentation layer will take place, and it will precede the things by doing the data formation, or it will do the encryption, or it will do the compression. All these things it will do. Then what happens? Mail has to be triggered. I hit on send button. So there will be some time and date stamp will be collected. For example, when I hand over the courier to the courier office, they will mention it. I received the box on so and so date, and exactly this time I have received the box. Likewise, when I hit the send button in the email channel, or in the firewall, or in any other network tools, over there, this so and so user, he initiated the data transfer. It can be either mail or file transfer or file upload, download, whatever it is. That particular timestamp should be captured, and the communication session should be initiated. That is where the session layer comes into the picture. Okay. Next, again, I'm going back to the layer 4. Okay. Here, I have to make sure if I am sending the data from user A to user B, or I'm downloading the things from the server, or I am watching the internet sites, whatever it is, that should be the reliable communication, which has to make sure whatever the data I'm sending, all the data has to be delivered properly, or it can be partially transferred, but still I have to make sure whatever the data I sent, it is been arrived to the recipient. So if I have to make sure whatever the data, even the 1 KB file, I sent it in the chunk by chunk, all the 1 KB file has been integrated or compiled and received the complete file to the send end user. That's when the reliable communication takes place. That is called TCP, transmission control protocol. If I am sending some data and the end user may or may not receive the complete data, but at least they have to make sure somewhat the data has been arrived. That is when the UDP comes into the picture, user data, datagram protocol. For example, If I send one file from user A to user B, 1 KB file, all 1 KB file has to be arrived. That thing TCP. For example, if I am making the internet calls or if I am streaming the things, for example, I'm making video call to the end user, and due to the network latency, due to the internet connection, sometimes your voice or your communication can be fuzzy or jittery or internet connection or cracked voice. But at the same time, he may say that, okay, I'm not properly listening to you due to the internet connection. Can you come again? But these streaming things sometimes can be interrupted. But actually, whatever the intended data or the voice to be transferred will be arrived to the end user. This is where the UDP comes into the picture. These TCP, UDP, these reliable communication or not reliable communication will be defined in the transport layer with the help of destined service. Destined service is nothing but, for example, I can send an email. I can send an email by using SMTP protocol or SMTP service. I can transfer the file. I can transfer the file by using FTP or FTP. If I want to take the session or if I want to take a control of the service, I can use RDP or SSH session. Or in case if I wanted to see the website or logging into internet bank, wherein the HTTP or HTTP service comes into the picture. So for each and every services can be defined with the help of ports. The ports part I will explain it later on. Okay, team, only 1 minute, team. I'm getting in call. Sorry, team, that was a personal call. Okay. So again, coming back to this. Okay. So when the transport layer comes into the picture, I have to make sure I have to define either reliable or non-reliable communication. Also, the distant services and which service I'm seeing the things or transferring the things that can be defined in the transport layer. For example, if I'm sending a mail and how the mail will be transferred with the help of SMTP port, or how the mail can be safely arrived without any tampering, that can be defined by using TCP or UDP. These are the things can be defined in the transport layer. Okay. Uh, and a quick thing like, TCP, UDP, I will again take it up, but still only for the understanding, please make sure whenever the data can't be broken, and even if you initiate small number of file or small size of file also, that is completely been sent or arrived to the destined computer or targeted users, that will be made sure by TCP. But this connection can be reliable, but that cannot be fast. But when it comes to UDP, the reliable communication will not be there, but the communication will be very fast. For example, if I do the video streaming or voice call or online video call and so on, these connections and all can be happen via UDP, but the connection cannot be reliable. For example, each and every my face gestures will not be properly arrived to the targeted computers, video streaming, but they'll be able to see the things. But when it comes to TCP, we have to make sure it's a connection oriented or UDP is a connectionless. So just for understanding, you take it. But when it comes to network topic, I'll explain these things, in clear. Okay. So this is the transport layer thing. Then the network layer, what it will do, the network layer, what it will do, it has to make sure the packet or the data has been routed from source device to network device, or source email to destination email, or source data center to destination data center by mentioning the targeted IP address or email address or this thing. So these can be defined in the network layer. It will be achievable with the help of the targeted computer IP address or the computer address or the recipient email address. Also, how it will happen? It will happen via router. Why the router comes into the picture, I'll explain it. But just now keep in mind that router will be in picture where there are two different networks are connected. For example, consider that Tamil Nadu is the one network and Kerala is the another network. When two different states are connecting with each other, there should be some intermediate channel or intermediate network device will comes into the picture, that is called router. When there are two different network has to communicate, the router will be there. These router placement and IP address things will be there in the network channel. For example, as I said, again the courier thing I'm explaining, I'm sending a courier from Chennai to Coimbatore, wherein Chennai is a different tangent and Coimbatore is a different tangent. And I'm sending a thing from Coimbatore to Chennai. In between, the transport is happening either via, airway or via train or via bus, whatever it is. Those are consider this as a network channels, or it can be either train or Airbus, or it can be, the bus or public transport can be considered as a router. Okay. Then layer two, the data link layer. So in this data link layer comes into the picture, the courier has been arrived, but I have to make sure it should be delivered to the right person. When it comes to digital, the mail has been arrived. The mail has to deliver to the right user. If I'm downloading the file has to be delivered to the right computer. Those things will be defined in the data link layer. For example, let's say if I am sending a mail to the user A to user B, the user B computer address should be defined in the data link layer. It can be achieved with the help of switch, or if you are using the home computer, those information will be there in the router. If you are using the corporate things, and there will be a dedicated switch available wherein it will maintain the CAM table and who is the destination user and what is the computer name. Those will be defined or designed in the data link layer, which means in the Coimbatore or in the Kandipuram or in the whatever area, in which street or in which house the courier has to deliver. The house number should be there. The house number should be considered as a computer name or computer address. That is called MAC address. In the right address or the right email address or in the right computer address, the mail or data should be arrived. Once this is being arrived, then the physical transmission will comes into the picture. For example, I identified the computer name, I delivered it, then that data will be transferred via digital signals, cables, or via signals to the end computer. For example, Ethernet cable or via Wi-Fi, the data will be arrived. This is how the data will be transferred. Again, as I said, when the user A is sending a mail to user B, from user A, layer A, mail will be drafted, mail will be encrypted, mail will be sent, and the sent time will be captured. Then it will be defined. Either it's a secure mail or it's a online streaming, either TCP or UDP, and what service will be defined. Then IP address will be identified and correct computer name will be identified. Then data will be shared, and the same process has to be happen in vice versa. Again, when the data is arrived at the computer and it is been identified the proper MAC address, it is been identified by the proper network IP address, these and all will be cross verified in the end computer level. And if it is a transmission control protocol, TCP or UDP, whether all data, even if I send a 1 KB data also, it will be arrived in chunk by chunk and all chunks has been received, and all should be integrated as a one data, and all this decryption will be happen here. I mean, all the integration will be confirmed in the transport layer. Again, the mail has been arrived on so and so time. That time will be captured here again in the recipient computer. Then in presentation layer, when the mail has been encrypted by the sender, and the same mail will be decrypted by the same user in presentation layer, then the mail will be arrived in the inbox, and the user can open the mail and see the thing. Likewise, the whatever the courier I have sent from my side, and it has been arrived, and he will verify the address whether it's been sent by so and so user, and he opened the cover, which means he decrypt the things, and he will open the wall clock. It means he opened the mail. The same thing will happen in application layer, which means one computer, when he's sending the file or data, it will happen from top to bottom, which means from layer 7 to layer 1. When the user received the mail, again the data receiving will happen from bottom to top, which means from layer 1 to layer 7. This is how the data transfer will be happen between two different systems or two different network via internet channels or network channels. Any questions, team? Any questions in this flow, or you have any doubt, team? Uh, any
No
questions?
doubts.
No doubt. Okay. So
No, no,
because
no,
the
no.
thing is, I'll explain one simple diagram. Okay, 1 minute. OSC layer, I'm trying to find it because I have some diagram for that. 1 minute. Because in the last minute only I prepared the things, and unfortunately I'm unable to organize the things in my computer. 1 minute. Allow me a minute. I'm just quickly stop sharing the screen because I need to open some personal. Sorry, Tim. Last minute, Okay, so this is how, as I said, this is how it will happen. If you see that from device A to device B, Tim, are you seeing my screen? Uh, Bhavya, Rakesh, are you seeing my screen?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes,
thank
yes,
you,
yes.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is how the data transfer will happen. See, in the application layer, that user will draft a mail, and the encryption will happen in presentation layer, and session time management will be there, and session entry will be initiated. Then it will define whether it's a TCP or UDP, and how the data should be transferred and what service it is. Then it will identify the IP. Then it will identify the MAC address. Then in physical layer, the data transfer will happen. This is done from device A. In device B, again, it will receive the packet, it will confirm the MAC address, it will confirm the IP address, and all the data will be compiled in the data transport layer. Then the data arrive time will be captured here. Then if the data is encrypted in the sender recipient presentation layer, it will be decrypted in the recipient presentation layer. Then he will open the mail. So this is how the actual data transfer will happen. Okay. So this is the OSA layer thing. Okay, maybe because the OSA layer itself, minimum 8-hour class when you are taking any networking course. But since we have a very limited time, and I'm trying to interpret or explain the things, whatever the thing I know. But if you Team, you guys have any questions, please do let me. Otherwise, maybe let's stop the session. Anu, may I know, like, what is the time we have committed for upcoming weeks? What is the time window you have shared? Which time window for every week between 5 to 6? Or this can be discussed later on, Anu, with Vasuki. Anu, you are there on the call? Okay, team, I'll discuss with them. Maybe, like, you have been committed for weekend batches only, isn't it?
Actually, I asked for weekdays and
Okay.
not it.
Yeah, actually, madam, like, I'm taking one more batch during weekdays, ma'am. Actually, like, I'm a working profession.
Okay.
Usually, like, from morning 9 to evening 7 to 8, I'll be completely occupied for regular, office works, and I'll not be able to accommodate time. So that's the reason I requested for, because, even they have insisted to take a weekdays batch, but unfortunately, the time is not actually permitting me. But maybe, like, once this batch is over, and I will try to accommodate the time during weekdays to since, like, you have been delayed for 2 3 weeks, I believe. So this your English batch has already been started 3 weeks ago, but it's been delayed. But I'll make sure that I mean, the institute has committed to complete the course within 45 hours. So I'll try to increase at least one, take 3 hours in Saturday, 3 hours in Sunday. So you'll be I have to make sure that within uh, 6 to 8 weeks of time, and you will complete the course in practical as well as in theory part. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, sure, man. So
Yeah.
if you have any other doubts, please, stay back. Otherwise, maybe let's wind up the session, because today I have committed till 7 only. But next week I'll make sure I'll because there are a lot of basic things to cover, madam. But unfortunately, like, the time is not permitting. Since it's a first class, I slow down few things intentionally. But from next week, and we will try to fasten the session.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Okay.
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, Rakesh.
Hello.
Yeah.
No, no. One thing I have like
Uh-huh.
if you add some more classes means it will be good. Now.
No,
See,
no.
1 day 3 hours means it would be
No, I totally agree, Rakesh. But the thing is, as I
because
said,
3 hours
I don't
class
want to.
means it will
Yeah,
not
correct.
understandable.
No, correct, Rakesh. But I'm explaining the things, and I told the things actual fact, Rakesh, because
Hmm.
actually speaking, it's managed for at least few weeks, and I'll try
Hmm.
to accommodate the weekday session, because already that one batch is going on, and I
Hmm.
can't just leave them behind, and I
Yes.
can't just take
Hmm.
things priority for your session. But I'll make sure that, like, I'll try to fasten the things for the weekend weekdays batches. So make sure that if I will be able to complete in another 1 month or 1.5 months, I'll make sure I'll take the weekday session for your team to complete the things as quick as possible or as soon as possible. You know,
One more
only if you
thing,
have to.
actually, we make it on group now, WhatsApp group, and please update the details like after the class, like presentation, these things.
No, no, that
And
part, don't worry about it. See, whatever the things once, because the thing is, in this particular slide, I have only few more slides to cover, because this is very basic strategies. Once I'm done with this, I will upload the PPT in the Google Drive, and I will share the Google Drive link to both of you. Even if
no,
there are some additional students are joining also, I'll share it.
okay, no, 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 on WhatsApp group means you present you are working now. Means like
Uh-huh.
ongoing issues, whatever, like outside, we don't know what are the possibilities are like issues are getting in companies and all the things.
Rakesh, I do agree,
So,
Rakesh. Yeah, the thing is, Rakesh,
mhm,
the thing is, like, I have the mutual agreement between the institute and myself, and I should follow the
mhm,
work ethics. So the thing is, like, even I have been completed more than 10 batches in this institute, and at the end of
mhm,
the session, I will share my LinkedIn ID in case if you have any future doubts. Also, you may follow up with the LinkedIn, and I will share my personal email address to you. Okay, in that email also you can reach me out, because the thing is, I can share my contact number, but the problem is I'll be always busy on the business calls and other things,
no, no, no,
and
no, no,
I'll not be able
not that
to.
one. Through
Yeah.
oh, sorry to interrupt. No, no, no,
Yeah.
not like that. I'm saying, see,
Mhm.
you are means like you are working present. For example, see, I am working in my sector only. See,
Mhm.
what are all the issues daily, day-to-day activities? What I am doing. At the time,
Mhm.
what I face and what all the means like issues occurred in our company, like
Mhm.
issues occurred in other company all over the world. Like
Mhm.
means it will be see somewhere whenever I attend the interview means
Mhm.
interviewer will ask that recent 15 days back some company has been faced with some issue. You know, you have any idea about that?
Breach.
How they
Correct. Correct.
resolve like that?
Mhm.
Like that points. If you share in group also means
Mhm.
let we have also an idea na, that also.
No, don't
Okay,
worry
this
about it. See,
cycle.
the thing is,
That, that,
I prepared the class in such a way that I will demonstrate the thing which is related to the real life example or real time cyber breach recently happened in India, in around the world. Okay. So
okay.
even if I'm not coming across the session or the recent cyber breaches information in this classes, still you may ask the queries at the end of the class. For example, let's say you recently came across or you read some online articles about some recent cyber breach,
Yes.
but you didn't understand the things also. No problem. You can ask me at the end of the class or at the beginning of the class. In case I didn't get a chance to go through the breach, at least I will make sure in the upcoming or the very next session I will read the article and what went wrong and which tool was not in place to stop the attack. That part and all, I'll explain it in the very next class. So don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So even if you ask me any scenario also, please use this opportunity only in the class and I will, because uh, the institute may say that only for 2 hours or 2.5 hours or 1 hour. But always I'm
Hmm.
taking extra hours of classes to clarify the students out. Because the thing is on daily badges, I'm taking between, 8:30 to 9:30. But I'm always
Hmm.
closing my class around 10:15 or 10:20 or 10:30 sometimes. Because the thing is, the students may always have a doubt. Only they are coming here to learn the new things. So always the doubt may arise. So don't worry about it. Any
Hmm.
doubts, even I'm unable to clarify on the same class also, or due to the time constraint, or I didn't gone through the situation. Don't worry about it. On very next session, I will explain the things.
Sure, sure, sure.
Okay. Any other questions, Rakesh? Any doubts? Uh,
No, 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 that
uh,
only. Actually,
mhm,
when I faced interviews
mhm,
regarding DevOps, some
mhm.
interviewers asked same these questions only.
No, no,
See,
don't worry about it. Yeah.
like that questions only, na. So
Mhm.
that only I asked it. Like, if
No, no, no,
any,
that's
like,
okay, Rakesh. See, you actually you are entitled to ask your doubts and clarify the things because you paid the fees to the institute, and we are here and we are responsible to clarify the things. So don't worry about it. We will take care of it, Rakesh. Don't worry about
okay.
it.
Or
Yeah.
else any website like is there? The whole thing will be updated there. It's like
Uh,
any open websites are we
No,
have to
I'll share
follow
it,
for
Rakesh. I'll share it,
that one.
Rakesh, because the thing is,
Okay,
let's go through the basics. Then, what are
okay.
the channels or any group forums available to learn the things in a detailed manner, and
Okay.
those materials and all, I will share it, Rakesh. So don't worry about
Okay,
it.
sure.
Yeah,
Sure. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
problem.
Thank you.
If no questions, shall we conclude the session? Or Anu,
Yes.
shall we conclude? Okay, team, I'm